Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated. Game 1 of the Aces Liberty matchup on Sunday drew an average of 929,000 viewers. Was down nearly 50% from last Sunday's Fever Sun contest. By the way, not only was viewership down,
some WNBA players have expressed frustration after Caitlin Clark was eliminated from the playoffs. They feel that fans are losing interest and not continuing to watch the remaining playoff games. Recent semi-final viewership statistics suggest a noticeable decline, which has raised concerns for the league. Since Clark's exit, amid controversial foul calls, the WNBA has struggled to maintain its audience, with reports indicating that viewership has dropped significantly and may continue to fall as the playoffs progress.
Do you want me to just say I told you so, or are you willing to say, Stephen A., you did tell us? Really? Caitlin Clark is the golden goose.
The speaker criticizes the league, questioning how a sport can allow its top player, Caitlin Clark, to be treated poorly throughout the season. They also express frustration about the Indiana Fever not having a home playoff game and argue that fan interest appears to be declining as the playoffs continue. They go on to claim that, unlike most sports where excitement grows toward the finals, the WNBA seems to be losing viewers with each game. Finally, they mention that Clark is reportedly heading to Europe for a break, though there is speculation she could consider a lucrative opportunity in a European league.
Could be a team overseas who would love to snatch Caitlin Clark away from us and give her a crazy offer. I mean, Ice Cube was about to give her $5 million to play in less than 10 games in the Big Three.
The speaker suggests that no one would blame Caitlin Clark if she decided to leave, arguing that she could earn significantly more money elsewhere and receive better treatment. They also claim that the WNBA denied her the chance to win a unanimous Rookie of the Year award, pointing out that one voter instead chose Angel Reese. The speaker expresses frustration over this decision and argues that the identity of that voter should be made public.
Should have been unanimous.
Should have been. I agree. It should have been unanimous. And one of the things that sticks with me is, well, she was the first rookie to get a triple-double.
The speaker claims that WNBA viewership is declining rapidly and suggests the league is now fully experiencing the Caitlin Clark effect. They argue that some players believe fans are primarily interested in watching Clark, and they say they agree with that perception. The speaker also references comments from Aya Wilson, noting that she was unhappy about people describing her playing style as boring. Wilson reportedly said that she has seen more criticism of her game this year than ever before and responded dismissively. The speaker further suggests that even after winning MVP, Wilson has not had the same level of impact on the WNBA's popularity as Caitlin Clark.
A'ja Wilson, 28 years old, 1,000 points in the regular season. Why is that not the biggest story out at the moment?
Exactly.
Why are we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Why exactly? Why when A'ja was releasing a shoe were we talking about Caitlin?
The speaker argues that the absence of Caitlin Clark from the WNBA playoffs has had an impact that goes beyond simple viewership statistics. They claim it reveals a deeper problem in the league, that its audience may be less stable than expected and has become heavily dependent on a single star to maintain momentum. They describe Clark as a major attraction who drew attention not only to her own team, but to the WNBA overall. The speaker refers to the Indiana Fever losing to the Connecticut Sun as the moment Clark's rookie season ended, after which they say viewership reportedly dropped sharply. Overall, the speaker suggests that the league experiences difficulty sustaining audience interest when its most prominent star is not playing, framing this as a revealing challenge for the WNBA.
The 2023 season, the WNBA had grown by 40% viewership from 2022 to 2023. But with Caitlin Clark's arrival, it's grown by 400% viewership. What that means is if the WNBA were continue to grow at the rate it grew from 22 to 23, it would take until 2028 to do what Caitlin Clark did this.
The speaker claims that WNBA viewership dropped by more than half after Caitlin Clark was eliminated from the playoffs. They argue this suggests her presence played a major role in attracting the league's audience. They add that this decline should not be dismissed as a coincidence, but rather seen as evidence that the league has relied heavily on Clark's popularity to generate interest. In their view, without her, the WNBA has struggled to maintain the same level of audience engagement.
Ever since, Angel Reese had that injury, to me, and also coming off of Olympic break, Caitlin Clark separated herself. Yeah. She should have been unanimous. Now, to celebrate her, one thing that people forget is as a rookie, she was the most blitzed player in the WNBA, and she still put up 19, 5, and 8 assists.
The speaker describes the decline in WNBA viewership as a warning sign for the league. They suggest that the league has historically struggled with low ratings and attendance, but argue that Caitlin Clark's breakout season briefly improved interest and created optimism about growth. They claim that her games attracted record audiences and gave the impression that the WNBA was entering a new era of popularity. However, with Clark no longer in the playoffs, the speaker argues that this momentum has proven less stable than it appeared. According to the speaker, interest has dropped because many viewers who followed Clark did not continue watching after her exit. They also suggest that while the remaining teams are competitive, they do not have the same level of star appeal that Clark brought, which has resulted in reduced overall excitement around the playoffs.
There was a Jordan effect on the NBA and the game of basketball. I would argue at one point early on there was a Steph Curry effect on the NBA and on basketball also. You bet your ass there is a Caitlin Clark effect on all of basketball, and especially on women's basketball.
The speaker argues that one concerning aspect of Caitlin Clark's playoff exit was the physical nature of how she was defended during the season. They claim she was frequently fouled and faced aggressive defensive pressure that they believe was not consistently penalized. According to the speaker, the league did not adequately protect Clark despite recognizing her talent, and they argue that this level of physical play went beyond isolated incidents. Instead, they describe it as a repeated pattern throughout the season, which they believe affected her physically and contributed to her team's eventual loss.
We don't want fans that are going to degrade us and call us names. I mean, we already see what's happening in the world. Something needs to be done, whether it's, them checking their fans or this league checking.
The speaker argues that the playoff series against the Connecticut Sun highlighted concerns about officiating. They claim that Caitlin Clark was frequently fouled during the series, but that referees were hesitant to call those fouls consistently. They suggest that this reflected a broader failure by the league to properly protect its most high-profile player, and they argue that fans watching felt frustrated by what they perceived as excessive physical contact with limited intervention from officials. The speaker also broadens the criticism to the WNBA's officiating in general, saying the league has long faced issues with handling physical play. They conclude that if a key figure driving league popularity is not adequately protected, it becomes a serious concern for the sport's success.
Racism has been impacting the WNBA well before this year. This is not a new thing. Sure. This is, and in that way, I do think Caitlin's being used as a pawn. Caitlin didn't bring citizens to the WNBA. This has been happening. And that, I think, is what's been such a shock for all.
Caitlin Clark's breakout season was a major opportunity for the WNBA to grow its audience, as her games attracted many new viewers. The speaker argues that the league failed to fully capitalize on this momentum, especially by not protecting her from physical play. They also claim fans became frustrated by how she was treated and by controversies, such as her not receiving unanimous Rookie of the Year honors, despite one voter choosing Angel Reese instead. Overall, they suggest Clark's popularity exposed both the league's reliance on her and challenges in maintaining fan engagement without her presence.